And there we are.
I see the red light.
There it is. We're on.
Yes,
well,
sir.
hello, everybody. How are we doing today?
Hello, Wisconsin. Oh, hello, everybody. How are you on this lovely Tuesday? Yes, I can see that dark side of the girl. I just looked at the chat. Happy Tuesday and welcome to After the Cook. I am Chris Shem, Titletown Griller, and to my that way we have Mel Schmeller Jr. at Dark Side of the Grill.
There we go. And welcome to After the Cook. Fantastic. Another beautiful Tuesday. How was your week, brother?
Oh, what did I do this weekend? Must have been good. Hung out. We did some cooking. We did some yard work around the house. Got some stuff done. It was nice. Yeah, it was nice. How about you?
Oh, it was different. I had a content Saturday, so I ended up knocking out 6 cooks. This is back to back to back to back. Yeah, because my buddy Louie was in between doing some stuff, and he had a whole day. So we just racked it and rocked it, man. It was crazy. It was a busy day shooting for YouTube, right? So we did that, but I got a lot done. What's that?
That sounds like a lot of dishes.
You know what's crazy is wardrobe changes. People never think about these little things, right? But as you're sipping bourbon and you're smoking cigars and you're cooking different dishes, but you have 3 or 4 eggs going at the same time, then you're like, what shirt was I wearing for this? So keep an eye out. If you're watching my YouTubes, if you ever see me mess up and all of a sudden I'm in a different shirt or something, that's what happened. A little faux pas. It was it was a good weekend, though. It was a good time just to get some stuff done, and very happy with it. Everything went fantastic. Did Buddha's cook, right, with the chipotle pineapple glaze. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I dug right into that. So, yeah, I was super happy with that.
Yeah, that flavor profile is fantastic. And that pork, I mean, that was a monster that you cooked. So, nice and juicy.
Well, one is smoked pork, not good already, right? You add that fruit and spice on top.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I also did, it's coming up this week, later in the week, I did the Korean short ribs, beef short ribs, flame kissed, right? And I used his Korean tri-tip marinade on the short ribs. Worked perfect. Just seamless. Absolutely seamless. So,
yeah, that marinade is on my list of things too, because I really like the flavor profiles of that. I had some other good cooks too. I had one that I forgot to post the final picture tonight. My braised pork collar that I did like a chili verde with. I forgot to post a picture, but I served it over some cheddar cheese grits. And,
nice.
That was fantastic. And then it was awesome in the burrito the next day. Friday night I got a little crazy. I did some venison back straps. My nephew shot this beautiful, huge 12-point buck that had this huge drop time. And he's 10. He was on like his first gun hunt with his dad. Opening morning, about an hour and a half into it, dropped this huge buck. So, and I made a bet with his dad. There's a bourbon up here called Drop Time Bourbon. Like if you get that one with the drop time, I'll buy you the bottle of bourbon.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he got it. So I bought him the bourbon, and I got some nice backstrap steaks that I grilled up on Friday, which my wife was not happy it was venison, and then she ate it, and she's like, "All right, you just have to make it like this every time."
That's awesome. And you know what? That is the best part, is when you can convert the wives and the daughters and the sisters over with the ones that are making that weird face about you cooking venison, and they convert, then you know you're on something nice.
I did some roasted. I had roasted Brussels sprouts, some lightly sautéed shiitake mushrooms. Then I reverse seared the venison, but when I seared it off in a cast iron skillet. Well, that was resting. Then I took some red wine, some broth, some dried cherries, and I made a pan sauce with that to spoon over it. And that just tied everything together then with that.
Oh yeah, that sounds perfect.
With a hell of a dish.
That's it. Well, listening to us chatting about all this chefy stuff, we should bring in our guest, perhaps somebody pretty special in the Kamado world. I'm super pumped to have him on. I cooked down the road from him at the Toronto Smoke Show. Absolutely deadly human being, definitely a showstopper, and I'm grateful to have him on our show tonight.
Yeah, let's bring him in. Let's just cut right to it.
Right on, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eric Gephart.
What's up, team?
There you go, boss. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Just enjoying hearing you two legends talk about food. You know, it's getting me. It's tantalizing my palate for cooking with other people again. You know.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. We miss the people up here, brother. Let me tell you, it's crazy.
Yes. I got my first taste of a live, interactive, in-person cook. See, I'm saying live cook. I'm still in the virtual world. An in-person cook this past weekend on the Chesapeake Bay. Very small group, 50 people, and did some crazy stuff. Did a blue crab ice cream. It was a crustacean celebration, first off. So everything on the Chesapeake Bay, blue crabs, oysters. So, roast oysters and soft shells, just really lovely regional place for ingredients that sing any chef or backyard cook's song. I mean, just beautiful stuff. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah, that sounds amazing.
And that's a great way to kind of open it, start to get back into it, is with that type of food that just gets you going. I mean, Mel and I talk about this, in the past, is that we're about as far away from an ocean as you can get. But both of us we just love that seafood, and, trying to find that seafood again. In Wisconsin, we don't get a whole lot of fresh oysters. So when I find them, I try to, pick them up. And, soft shell crabs, I don't think I've ever seen a soft shell crab up here in the wild. You'd have to order them.
Yeah. Well, here's an open invitation to you two gentlemen. Next time we get the opportunity, things are open back up. I'd love to host you all here on the coast in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, and do a true Carolina boil with some soft shell surprise and that sort of stuff. I mean, that open invitation, team.
Fantastic.
And it's really the first full moon in May is when those soft shells start backing out. They use the gravitational pull of the moon. They stop eating for 2 or 3 days. They get down in the muck and then they just back out of those shells. And it's not 3 or 4 days later till they pick up the calcium from the ocean water that their shells start to harden back up. They become leatherbacks, and then the carapace is hard again. But just the ocean, man. What we've got going on here, ingredients wherever you go, wherever you travel. Every time I come to the smoke show, my friend, you got a Chinatown in Toronto. Like, I don't have a Chinatown here in North Carolina. I got an Asian market, but it ain't the same. Me walking down the aisles going, yuzu, where's the yuzu? You go to Chinatown, you're in for an experience in Toronto. I mean,
it's Chinatown. Yeah.
How far are you from Toronto and where they do the smoke show? I know it's a distance.
I am 4 provinces away.
Yeah.
5 provinces. Yeah, I'm almost on the West Coast. So
you made just a bigger trip as I did. Bigger trip.
Yeah, that's man. I had to fly down for that, but yeah, I'm right nestled in the prairies, right before the Rocky Mountains. So right before Banff and Jasper, I'm right in there. And
what's the special ingredient there? If I'm giving you soft shells and I show up to next week at your doorstep, I heard you guys talk about venison, with Wisconsin venison and such. What's big, and where exactly are you? What province are you?
So I'm in Alberta, and that would be like if I was dropping something on your table, it'd be Alberta beef for sure. That's the crown jewel of our prairies out here. Mm-hmm. Amazing beef. Free range, grass fed, everything's big and beautiful, and just thick cut everywhere you go, marbled and tasty, super tasty.
That would describe a lot of the burgers that I see you do. That is making sense now, like beef country, because your beef cooks are epic. I mean, just viral worthy. I love seeing it. And you can't overstate or understate a burger. They're just stunning. You can go anywhere in the world with it. It's like a blank canvas, and you do such a good job with them. Well done.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
The best part about it is that he eats it then too.
Yeah, That's one of my magic tricks. I started when I first started on Instagram was like everything I saw was so beautiful, but you never see someone like take a fork to it ever, right? And right away I'm like, this is amazing. Next picture is just me stuffing my face. Everyone's like, whoa, what's that? I'm like, well, I'm not going to just show it. You have to be able to eat it, right? So if you see it,
that's how Mel conditions his beard.
Yeah.
Burger grease.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful beard. Yeah. I've got a confession to make, and I'll make it here. This is a after the cook first. I'm a freaking closet eater. Like, I do not like. I do 50 recipe videos in a year. I'll do, like, I'm doing 21. I try to do seven recipe videos in a day. That's insane, right? When I've got one other person shooting with me. You talk about wardrobe changes. I got different clothes every single day because it's released once a week, and people don't realize that I've got 5 grills going at the same time, jumping back and forth, juggling between a 21-hour cook. Let's call it a 16-hour cook and a 3-hour cook and a 30-minute cook. I hate taking a bite in front of people, even in person. Like, I'm a closet eater. So it's really Chef Tom from All Things Barbecue had to get on me, and he was like, bro, you got to taste your food. People want to see it. And I'm like, I don't like the sound. I think it's because my father was like an open mouth chewer, and it freaked me out, bro. Like, it just like, I'm done. If he's watching tonight, Dave, I love you, but I just, it's tough for me. So I'm glad to see you doing it. And I don't mind watching you eat, my friend, because you're having such a good time doing it. Like, good on you. But I've got some issues, and that's one of them, and I'm working through it, even in this quarantine.
I'm in a support group, but I'm starting to get through it. Baby bites.
Baby bites. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Making amends to everyone that I've not eaten in front of. It's good. It's good.
That's like the first time I sat down to a crawfish boil, and they're like, you got to suck the head. And I'm looking around. I'm like, is this okay? Can I? All right. And then, you seeing everyone else doing it, right? Tiny kids are just, okay, well then, let's do it. Suck the head. That's it.
And it's that time of year down in NOLA right now, too. I'm missing out on that, dude. Chef Jean Paul, you seen this guy? He did duck camp, adventures with Yeti and stuff recently. He's doing some fun stuff. I saw him at Charleston Food and Wine Festival, and he did a blue crab marinara where he saved the cooking liquid from a blue crab boil and introduced that into his red gravy or his red sauce. And it was, it's stunning. I had to go over, I had a line down the block. I had to stop what I was doing and go over there and talk to him about that recipe, because that was going to be my only opportunity. I was like, bro, this is the best thing I've had in like 2 years. Fantastic. That guy. And I don't have his tag right now just to tell everybody how to follow him, but he does some cool stuff. He was a chef in New York for years, and I think just got sick of the rat race, and now he's chilling down in NOLA in the duck camp. Not bad. Sucking down heads,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
how is that Charleston Food and Wine event? Because I got to tell you, Charleston's my favorite place on earth. I think my wife and I, we've been there like 7 times in the past 10 years. It's our it's our happy place, and that's on my list to go there during that event. How was it?
It was really nice, and it's funny because we were the first time I would always wanted to go there. I'm a huge Garden and Gun fan. I'm a Southern Living guy. I'm 4.5 hours away from Charleston. The event was great. There's just so much going on, especially if you're participating, that it's hard to get to it all. Right. And this was our first time doing it. It's a 3-day festival. Day 1, they're like, there's something going around called coronavirus, and we just had somebody in the county test positive, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but we're going strong. Here we go. Like, this was like a little over a year ago. And then everybody started talking about it, and things started changing. So I think my experience was a little askew because that kind of, the beginning of what we call a pandemic, it really started taking place there. But the people, the hospitality, the talent, the food, like if you want to understand whole hog and the lineage and the history behind it, it's just a fantastic place. The Tidewater region is beautiful for some of those ingredients we talked about earlier. But pork, you know,
the region, City Hog guys are down there, and
and my wife is a whole hog cooking champion. She's top North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, South Carolina. I mean, she's a champ. But I love the history of it. You know, I mean, when you start looking at food and how we came to the Americas and how we survived the first couple of winters, and you know, pigs aren't indigenous to the United States, and so it's funny how you can follow the ship's log of DeSoto bringing 13 sow and 2 boar, and 2 years later there's 2,000 hogs roaming the country, you know, and they just freaking took to the cane brakes and became the Razorbacks, and you know, helped us get across the Appalachians and westward expansion. Guys, I got a 3-day freaking lecture on this. I mean, it's beautiful stuff, you know. But I just love going there and learning. And that's part of what I miss about right now too, is not being a local, or being a non-local, if you will. Being able to travel and eat like a local, which is foreign to me, and just like going somewhere and not having to say a single word, but really soaking it up and being a sponge and just learning and trying to adopt a culture within 4 days, you know.
Well, and that's one of the things that we love about Charleston. It's the history aspects. I mean, you could go there and you could learn months and months of stuff on different histories of different buildings and who was at, you know, there's buildings out there that George Washington was on the front porch of. But then, you know, you get into the culinary aspect of things, and it's such a great foodie town. There is such, you know, great restaurants from, you know, when Sean Brock was there getting started, Jared Standing at Fig, and all these other new restaurants that are opening up. But then you get into the barbecue, you know, Rodney Scott and John Lewis and Holy City Hog guys. And then there's a whole nother culture of the Gullah style cooking down there too. You can kind of really get into some of that other heritage. And I mean, you could just go on and just eat your way through so many different histories down there. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty special regional cuisine throughout time that tells stories. You know, you think about one pot cookery and why these people became so great at cooking with one pot, and it was because they were persecuted for one way or another, and they had to be nomadic, and that's why it's so soulful. You know what I mean? These people just getting pushed around and just the pot liquor and you know, you're singing my song, brother. You're singing my song.
No. Yeah, that's amazing. That's I have to ask now, with a wife that's a whole hog champ, there's a jar in your fridge with some sauce in it. How is that getting made?
Yeah, I share 100% of my recipes. I'm all about transparency.
Yeah.
That'd be my wife's recipe.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She literally keeps it in the gun safe. I
believe that.
Yeah, and it's so funny. She's the only one that doesn't take it seriously. She's got, and I'd say she takes it very seriously, but she's got all the kids in the community putting gloves on and seasoning it up, and she's having fun with it. 100% respect for the animals, so none of that chintzy crap you see people doing. But they're coming. She's teaching them. Okay, this is what would be called the backstrap if it were a wild boar. This is the tenderloin. This is inside the rib cage versus the loin outside, and here's what we're gonna do. And you know, she's an edutainer, you know, and it's beautiful to see the kids getting involved. And that's one thing this past year that I've just absolutely loved about not being on the road, is spending time with my 2 daughters. I've got a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old. And as an Eagle Scout here in Hillsborough, North Carolina, I put them through the regiment, you know. So anytime it rains over an inch, I got them out there starting a fire, you know, with one match. You know, I've been knife skills, you know. I opened a culinary school years ago and ran that for about 4 years. So they've been through Culinary 101. We've done a little charcuterie. We've done a fair bit of hunting and trapping, and it's just been a real joy to impart some knowledge that really, when I was on the road running a million miles per hour, having a blast, I wouldn't have been able to do. So it's been a real values change for me, and pretty cool. But that being said, I think my wife's ready to get me back on the road. You know?
Well, that it's a weird time, man, for everybody. I see not only do a lot of people's roles kind of changing and adapting to this, but becoming new roles after this. I think the whole, especially for barbecue, the whole landscape has kind of changed so far that it's not going to go back to what it was ever.
Yeah.
Right? Like the level of education and information that everyone's soaking up that would have just simply taken it as it was before. Now they're at home. They've learned great depths about these things. Like that education's not going anywhere. That it's going to be crazy to see what the next 5 or 10 years is going to bring.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
And you all have played a great role in elevating, and I call it elevating, and I don't mean that in a dark way. I shouldn't say dark way because no negative connotations there. Dark side of the grill, but in a lesser way, like in some circles, the word barbecue was kind of lowbrow, right? And now you're seeing all these. Not only are we exploring what we were just chatting about, the heritage and lineage of some of this stuff, and it's being celebrated, but you're seeing a lot of the fine dining aspects, being brought to the outdoors, and that's kind of why we're hitting it. At least I feel like I'm in the right spot in the right place, because you make a beurre blanc inside, nobody cares. You grill the lemon and squeeze it in there and make a grilled beurre blanc. All of a sudden, you're a freaking legend. I mean, it's so funny, right? So bringing these little fine dining or fun dining techniques and bringing them to the world of barbecue, which we can talk about if it's a noun or a verb, regionally or globally. I mean, it's just so fun. And I think the thing about it is, like, it's just cooking. It's 100% sharing our triumphs and tribulations and getting out there, slapping everybody in the ass, throwing high fives, and having fun with it, and learning every single freaking day. Gone are the days of the Ramses, of the Marco Perry Whites, where you can kick people into the stoves. The way we grew up, coming up in kitchens, which I wouldn't change a single thing, but I also wouldn't put my daughters into. I think the landscape, like you mentioned, is completely changing, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
I think it's going to be great to see once restaurants are able to fully open back up. I think a lot of them did a good job of adjusting to what they had to do with making different carryout menus and stuff like that. But I think on the other side, they're at home, and when they have to step out of their commercial kitchen a little bit more, they might say, you know what, I have this pit out back, or I have this grill out back. Let me kind of experiment with that. And I think as we start to see more and more things open up, we're going to see some of those people that, their styles may change a little bit. They're going to bring more of, they may bring more of that kind of just down home style cooking, or hopefully some more of that live fire cooking into some of these fine dining restaurants.
Yeah, we haven't seen a dynamic shift like this in the restaurant world since the French Revolution, and so it's pretty exciting to see where it goes, and yet heartbreaking as well to watch everything that's going on. And I think you talk to any restaurateur right now, and thank goodness that the PPP stuff has come through here in the U.S. really well. And I can't speak to what's going on in Canada, but I'm sure there's a support system there as well. I think the hardest part is finding a labor force that's ready to do the work again, and let's not get into politics, but when you can make more money, not working than working, it's a tough environment. And so and then you get into the millennial aspect, and so much more digital wants and needs than the physical manual labor. It's an interesting, changing landscape, and I think, all things considered, with COVID, it's just kind of catapulted it in there, maybe 5 years ahead of where it would be. On the plus side, maybe you'll see more of those people that have the deeper passion for it then come to the surface. You're going to see some of that kind of, well, I guess they say cream rises to the top. You're going to see more of those people that, I could stay at home and, make money doing nothing, but I want to get better. I want to better myself. I want to grow in that. Those are going to be the people that are going to be out there and hopefully
those are the people whose voices are going to be heard now, and we're going to start to hear their style and their tastes, and hopefully stuff will change too for the better.
I've got a funny story from a chef that I know up here in Edmonton. Super into barbecue. All of a sudden, this chef is specialized in pizzas, like traditional Italian style pizzas. For years, he has a beautiful pizza shop, and he's been bouncing with me back and forth for a couple of years about this, but not really into it. Now that we were on the quarantine lockdown, he doesn't have a patio, so now he's shut down for a while. He couldn't find a barbecue, a smoker unit. Like up here right now, there's a shortage of all kinds of supplies, right? So he couldn't find. Yeah, it's crazy what he's going through, right? And he messages me. He's like, "Well, all I have is this darn gas barbecue, and I really want to try like a what was he cooking? He got a leg of pork a leg of pork from Costco, and he wanted to smoke it real bad. I said, well, your gas grill can do this. You just have to add chips, maybe make a tinfoil tube, poke some holes in it, see what you can do here, keep the heat right, and just play with it." And he was, after the end of the cook, like, this post he put up was just hilarious, because he's like, I've never had to MacGyver anything. I've never in my life in the kitchen, you need this, you turn around, you grab the thing, tomorrow it's here. The order comes, it's here. And he's like, the stuff I had to go through to make this stupid leg of pork. He's like, and turns out I had it all here the entire time, and I could have been doing this for years. It's out on my back deck. It's been there for forever. He's like, now I'm looking at this piece of equipment in a totally different way than I ever have. And it's literally not changed at all. It's just sat there being exactly what it's been the entire time. And it's just hilarious, because now you can imagine when he gets back to the kitchen, the things that are going to change.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just such a simple one cook little nuance that, like, I'm pretty sure has changed him as a chef. It's so cool. And it's just one simple step that we don't even,
freaking aha moments,
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
It was a beautiful thing. And innovation, I mean, that's the fun of it for a lot of us. I mean, listen, I was a restaurant guy for 25 plus years, and you get to be an range jockey, saute ninja for 15 years, and just 3 saute pans in each hand, boom, 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 rocking it in an open kitchen, silent, busting it out. Like, there's a beauty to that, but there's a mundaneness to it as well. I'll tell you, so being able to rediscover your own environment, I mean, that is certainly a positive coming out of this thing. You know what I mean? Yep. And having to make it happen, and succumbing to some of those things, like to smoke a pork leg and put it on a menu where you never had a smoker, like.
Yep.
To add a low and slow game that's not just braised, pork shanks or something, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. That's helping out everybody in the kitchen, because they're all pumped about it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, I can't wait. It's gonna be very neat. Oh,
so,
yeah.
Living out on the coast, close to the water. I mean, obviously, you got to get a lot of seafood. What's your favorite seafood?
Bro, that's so tough. I've been a chef in New Zealand, Naples, Florida, New York, have restaurants in North Carolina right on the coast. Fish wise, my 9-year-old daughter made black cod tacos for us tonight. Really, really beautiful. She's using the shun and chopping the tomatoes and the peppers and the lettuce. Yeah, 9-year-old. And slicing the fish, and then I'm helping her grill the medallions, and so that was really lovely. I like quick fire items that I can put on the grill and infuse just a hint of smoke, not even smoke, but natural lump charcoal flavor. So like to do a Bloody Mary mussel dish on a Sunday home at brunch kind of deal is a lot of fun. A clam bake is a ton of fun. Golden tile fish is one of my favorite. Gigging flounder and getting it in a saute pan with bernoisette and finishing off with some caper sauce. Like there's just so many opportunities. I think it's fair to say when it comes to seafood, the next meal is my favorite. So whatever's fresh, whatever's popping, whatever has a story that I can hear about or being a part of, I think is my favorite. And that's a cop out, but it's so the truth. You know.
So I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old daughter.
Hey,
Mel has a 6-year-old daughter. Emily's 6. Yep. 6, and then Scarlett just is over 1.
Just 1, yeah.
And then I have a 2-year-old son. So I just So we've got 6 girls between us. Both of my girls will tell you that their favorite meal is mussels, and that's what they always ask for is mussels. Can we have mussels? And again, up here, I can get them fairly, the PEI mussels fairly fresh from Costco, but you got to get them in like a 3-pound bag, which is great if it's going to be a meal. If we're just going to eat that for a meal, we can knock that out. Last time we did that, I think each one of my girls took a pound down each. It was ridiculous.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. Your daughters, when you started cooking with them, did you let them go? You didn't let them go right to the shun knife, did you?
No. In fact, when I was in Toronto and in Chinatown, I bought these serrated. Oh, did you hear that? Big freaking buck doing the nasal thing. Where's the bow? Shut this gate. So no, I got them serrated bamboo knives from the Asian market, and they fell in love with cutting baguettes, and then I started thinking, okay, let's put them through the classic French cuts. Let's do small dice, medium dice, large dice, and really break out the ruler. Do Brunoise, fine batonette, julienne. We're not working on tournaise yet, and I don't think we will. Or flute mushrooms, they're not that into it. I don't want them to be, but they really do like lining it up, and I tell them just like I tell anybody else, get in a fighting stance, and they're both karate and jiu-jitsu, they're so they understand, and I'm like, all right, you line up the spine of the knife with the pupil of your eye, you tuck in that chicken wing and get it in there, get the wrist right, your fighter stance, your left foot's in front of your right foot, and now you'll be able to chop for like 3 hours. And they're like, I look down, they're gone. They're outside playing. They don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I've lost them, completely lost them. And so then I just, so I was like, okay, this is never going to work out. So then I bought those those bamboo knives and just let them go to town, let them mix themselves just a little bit here and there. Now they're listening a little bit better, and we're getting there. I think that it's just like teaching a kid archery. Like if you're not flinging arrows, it's not fun. So I think getting them in there. And the beauty of it too, you guys know, if you get the kids helping out, they're 50% more likely to try something.
Right.
And perhaps you got some brownies in the oven that are going to take 35 minutes, so you can get through dinner and con them into eating more and then getting the brownies. And if you grow it, you add another 25% more likely to try it. So we got a killer garden. Unfortunately, just got a very late frost, which nipped a lot of the local farms here of their peppers and early tomatoes and cucumbers and such. So that sucked, but really agriculture driven community we're in here. So we are helping out on farms, slaughter pigs, birth pigs, sheep, goats, and of course the vegetables. My wife was a farmer. She had an 80-acre organic farm in Oklahoma, so she knows probably more about food than I'll ever know. But it's they do good. No, it was not straight to the shun. That was a long answer. Yeah.
Well, I know, like their sister company, Kai Housewares, they have like a line of kids knives, but the reviews say they're still pretty sharp. I actually just found some serrated bamboo knives on Amazon. I'll have to give them a try because I had the plastic serrated ones with them, but they don't really work all that great. They're okay for lettuce.
You gotta make Jello. So the key for food wise for cutting is start with Jello, move to, when you get into the sharper knives, move to potatoes. When they get real dexterity and are about 9 years old, they can go to a carrot or a parsnip here and there. And so you're making a ton of stock. or feeding the pigs next door, But potatoes are pretty easy to cut through, much less fibrous than and I'm talking like a AP chef's potato, Idaho potato, whatever you want to call it, a starchy potato. And we get potatoed out, so you're making roasties, you're making hash browns, you're making French fries, and then you gotta switch it up. But the carrots are tough. But start with the Jello. Just make sheet trays of Jello and flop it out, and then you start getting into making Jello shots again.
Yeah.
I straight up, nothing better than a moonshine Jello shot, except for straight clear. It won't gelatinize. You got to add agar. Pro tip. Yeah.
What do you mean again, Eric? Some of us never grew up. That's it.
I got a little. I can't find the camera here. It's just a little homemade. It's a little homemade,
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's cool cooking with the kids and having time to do it.
Yeah.
That's. Emily working on knives yet?
A little bit. She's very excited and she moves around a lot, so it's not the best recipe for most of the time. Like, she's good around working around hot equipment. I'm really happy with that. I give her the mitts. She understands where she's putting her arms and stuff, so we're working that way. Like that big stick burner, she's been helping me with that. She comes, stands right up on the wheel well, and she gets right in there flipping stuff. So I'm happy with that. I would like to start with the cutting, and you bringing that up about the leftover vegetables. That's awesome, because I have tortoises as pets.
Oh, they'll love it.
So we go through veggies already. So that's nice. We can cut them up some real nice stuff. Then that's a great idea.
That's cool.
Yeah, I find I have to separate them. If I can get one of them alone, the attention span is much better. I'll help cook you, and then the other one's like, hey, come play it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a pro tip. I concur. I concur with that. I start with the entree. Whoever's making the entree, I'll split them up in a brigade system. I'm like, all right, you're 9-year-old. You're doing tacos today, and they have cookbooks, kids' cookbooks that they flip through, and they pick a recipe. We shop for it. They have to make the ingredient list. They draw and color like broccoli, and then they write the word and spell it broccoli in there. And there's I grab one here in a second, but they write it all out. We go shop for it. My wife is a legend. She writes it down for me in the order that I would walk through the aisles to get it. Because I'll tell you, a chef's nightmare is walking into a grocery store. Like I can't find anything. You know what I mean? I'm getting pissed off. I'm like knocking things off the shelf. Like I've been kicked out of so many grocery stores I can't even tell you. I'd say I was about to say this stays right here, but that's the dumbest thing I ever said. One time I was making a poppy seed vinaigrette, and they wouldn't sell me so many poppy seeds because I could guess you can make drugs out of it or something like that. And I was like, look, I got a huge catering doing a wedding. I need 1.5 pounds of poppy seeds. And they're like, we got it, but you can't have it. I'm like, did you have to say it like that? And so out of disgust, I pushed the cart slightly too hard right into a Mola apple juice glass display. Whole thing just boom. And unfortunately, it was the restaurant. It was the Whole Foods closest to my restaurant at the time. So I'm done. I'm done. I'm sending the freaking dishwashers for the next 2 years because I can't set foot in the place. Unbelievable. Side note.
Yeah, that's.
But the poppy seed vinaigrette is delicious.
I believe that.
Yeah,
I believe that. Yeah, that's the wife hates sending me to the grocery store for anything because I always come back with 50 times what she sent me. Like I'll be going for milk and I'll come back and I'm like, they have Star Anise. Like I didn't even expect. She's like, what do you need that for? You have some but this is different brand. I haven't tried this yet. I got to check it out. Right. Like all the time. I don't even know what this is. Right. Cause we got so many Asian style markets. Sometimes fruit pops up. You don't even know what it is. You're like, well, that's coming home with me. I'll look it up when I get there. Like this is,
right.
And she's staring at what is this? Why do you went for milk and bread? Why do you, not my fault.
It's our toy store. That's our toy store.
That's it. Not my fault.
Can you imagine working in a fish sauce factory though? I don't know why it came to mind, but like worst jobs ever, like I don't know. That would you come. I've come home smelling like a fryer for years. Oh, no worries, but like dish sauce, that's a bit much.
Well, I was cooking with some 2 weekends ago, and my youngest daughter walks in. She goes, Like what? She goes, I'm not eating that. I'm like, why? She goes, because I don't like the way it smells.
Yeah, but then you put the teeniest amount in there, and it's like opens up new portals and dimensions of flavor, and it's like, whoa!
Just give it a little bit,
but a little bit too much, and it smells like urine. You know what I mean? It's like horrible. But it's so funny that the palate and our brains and the synapses and like all of it. It's so wacky. I love it.
Yeah, I tend to. It's funny you say that with the fish sauce. When you start getting into those like aged, fermented, right, and the worse it is, the more excited you are. I'm like, I'm gonna have the most simple ramen you've ever had, just to thoroughly enjoy this fish sauce. And the wife's always like, I'm just gonna sit outside for an hour. That's what I'm gonna do. Just enjoy your soup and let me know when you're done. That's
You thought braised cabbage was bad. Just wait. There's this guy in Australia, Luke Rutz, and his ramen, like his like just crazy pork belly and beautiful yolk poached eggs and his pasta he makes. Luke Rutz. I mean, his stuff. I'm inspired every time, and his photography is like aces. It's. I'm freaking jealous when I see his food. Yeah. On the flip side of that, I'm seeing too much food on Instagram. I'm getting wore out on seeing food, and I hesitate to say it out loud, but I mean the only people I follow or click on or see every time I go to social media and I see it, I'm so satiated. When it's really time to eat, I'm not freaking hungry anymore because I just looked at, I just freaking like 500 of your freaking burgers. You know what I mean? Like it's not that you just do burgers, you do beautiful stuff, but like it's getting to a point where I've got to figure out a solution because there are other interests and to spread it out a little bit more only strengthens everything, so I got to figure that out. I find myself not even using Facebook at all anymore. Like I'm just mainly because of a lot of the political stuff and just, I've got 5,000 best friends I've never met, and so, but Instagram, I really like. I'll just say this. I told you guys about some things really burn my bacon, and I answer 100% of the messages people send to me. Don't fricking send me a message saying, how do I cook a brisket? And that's all you ask me. And you expect me to give you like that's like a 3-day response. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm a slow typer and I'm dyslexic. You know what I'm saying? So it's not going to be spelled right. I get that really burns my freaking bacon.
Yeah, that's so awesome that you say that because that's.
I'm not a teacher. I don't give a shit about your brisket, and I don't mean that. I get it 5 times a day. And here's my response. Are you ready? It's solid. Feel free to use it. I wish I could copy and paste it, but Instagram's a phone thing, and I don't know how to do the computer. I know some people do. I don't know how to do that. I say get nail short ribs 3 times till you have it down 100%. Because short ribs are brisket on training wheels, and then, but I like short ribs a lot better. And then I tell them the temperatures, right? And I don't even own a freaking thermometer, so I'm like, get it smoke 3 hours, get it to 165, wrap it, get it to 206, let it rest for 3 times longer than you think you need to rest it. Don't trim it. I don't care if you do, fat up, fat down. It's a lot. Hey, babe. What are neighbors going to talk about? I'm being loud. It's the moonshine. It's these guys.
It is my fault. I take full responsibility.
Come say hey. I'm always wearing my Buffalo Bills sweatshirt.
I'm in my jammies.
Come say hey. Come say hey.
I love it.
Hey, team. This is my wife, Jenny. Yeah, come over here.
Hello.
Hi, Jenny.
No, I don't want. I'm in my jammies.
Hey, what's up?
Hi.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Whole hog champion. I'm telling you guys.
That's right.
That's
Okay.
awesome. That's awesome.
So you were just about to tell us your recipe for your sauce.
Your sauce recipe.
Oh no!
Look,
That's,
look at her face.
that's in the
She's
vault.
like, oh hell no.
That's in the vault. We had to get to know each other first.
Yeah, I invited the boys to come hang out. So,
Oh, cool.
I,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
You know, I'm just giving you help. It's fine.
all right.
You're good. You're good.
Love you, babe.
Talk freely. Talk
Yeah.
freely with your friends.
I'm talking to my friends. They don't embarrass me in front of my friends. Jeez.
Okay, it's just us.
I get that a lot too, Eric. It's okay.
Well, the freaking neighbor, the closest neighbors are like miles away anyway. Yeah, she just give me hell, you know. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but all good things, you know. I mean, I
Burning your bacon.
oh yeah, but burns my bacon. So I went to a restaurant, and I don't know if you guys are going to restaurants or not yet. I went to one, and I come from a service background. Yes is the question, you know, or yes is the answer. What's the question, blah, blah, blah. But the butt book, I can't get over the butt book. Where servers will put the book where they give you the check and slip it behind their belt and walk around with it. Have you seen the butt book?
Yes.
I don't want to touch that. Like, don't do that. It really burns my bacon. I know it's a small thing. It's not as good as the brisket, but I'm just telling you, like, don't do the butt. But those of you who are in the service industry that are watching, like, implore your service staff not to do the butt book. That's a PSA. That's a PSA.
Yeah.
No problem.
I want to play a little game with you guys called Let's Put You in a Pickle.
I like it.
All right.
I like
all
it.
right.
Yeah.
Here we go. If you had to choose one for the rest of your life, which would it be, pork or beef?
Beef.
I know you're in beef country.
Well, I am in beef country, but
It's tough. The rest of your life.
oh no, because you got pork hocks, a nicely done, aged, hung pork hock.
With bratwurst.
Oh man,
Bacon. Well,
yeah.
you can get bacon.
Bacon and beef bacon just ain't the same. I spent a lot of
it's
time
not.
in a lot of like Muslim communities. Beef bacon, I'm sorry guys.
No,
It's not the same.
you know what? And
Bacon.
I hate to say this, but it's pork.
Woo!
It's totally pork.
I didn't see that coming. Wow.
No. If I had to, and that's
You have to. You're in the pickle.
pig skin.
The crackling.
That's the crackling. That's I don't care. You like I cook a brisket every weekend. I cook a brisket every single weekend. If you pull crackling out on me, I
don't care about brisket then.
I would step over that brisket for good crackling any day of the week.
Bro, you know what my favorite thing to do with crackling is? Use it for freaking medium to dip in crab dip for the perfect freaking surf and turf.
Oh, buddy.
But that's a good one. And why beef? Why beef? What draws you to beef more than pork? What you eat for the rest of your life?
Well, it's a tough one because
It's tough.
you know, bacon, ham, pulled pork, and brats and everything. But I think a nice steak is something that I'll always appreciate.
Now, when you say steak, are you talking hanger steak, ribeye, New York strip? Please don't say filet. What are you chatting about?
So if we cut it down to a steak, you know, like I'm just gonna order a steak. So that I'm taking out things that I would cut down into a steak. So that doesn't count picanha or tri-tip or any of those. If it's just gonna be a steak that I'm gonna eat, my favorite is a New York strip.
My favorite steak. I prefer it more than ribeye.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I do. I think it's the perfect mix of, especially if it's thick. You know, if it's about that thick, you get the texture of a tenderloin, but your flavor profile, it's more like that ribeye without having that huge fatty chunk in it. That's my favorite.
Beautiful. Good answer.
Might not be my favorite cut of beef. You know,
what's your favorite cut? What's your favorite cut? You're in the hot seat now. You went from being in a pickle to in the hot seat. Boom. I heard you mention tri-tip. Have you tried freaking braising tri-tip to the point where it pulls? Dude.
I have not.
Best thing going. Sear it, braise it in beef stock or even chicken stock, who cares? And put some guajillos, anchos, cumin, chilies in there. Dude.
Just because you said that, I'm going to do that. I've got a beautiful Wagyu tri-tip. I'm going to do that.
Sear it. Here's what people don't see about the grill too, and I didn't mean to interrupt and steal the spotlight, but you got to start using your enamel cast iron on the grill. Yep. It is and I heard you talk about cast iron before, using using vessels that can hold liquid to do elevated things on the grill is the most underrated thing happening right now. And because
when you were talking
for my grills,
you were talking about the beef short ribs, right?
Yeah.
And that's my braised beef short ribs any day of the week out of the cast iron, like a beautiful red wine vinegar, right, with the onions right in there, and the bone, you just touch it and the bone just falls right out like. Oh, okay. And you can put that on anything. You put that on anything.
Can I tell you one thing that I'd never thought of till today to put that on?
What?
A big ass wheel of brie with the braised short ribs and the red wine caramelized onions on top, and then wrap it in the puff pastry, paint it with the egg wash, cook it at indirect for at 350 Fahrenheit. For 30 minutes, and then let it rest for like 10 minutes, take it off, and then crack into it with some freaking apples or some crackers. Dude, so you've made I just talked about crab dip. You've just made a freaking like triple cream brie braised short rib dip that'll knock your socks off. Knock your socks off.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
Nobody's ever done that video. I better be seeing that on your freaking Instagram like next week, bro. That's gold. I just gave you viral video.
That's fantastic, man.
People think doing the grilled cheese pull is sexy. Wait till you do the freaking short rib brie. You know about that.
Make it happen.
But you got to bite. You take a bite. That's why I can't do it. I'm not taking a bite. I can't do it.
I'll be like, I burned my fucking mouth.
It's all about to let it rest, because you want the pullability. You got to let it rest, otherwise it'll be sexy wobble like a perfect brisket. It'll have the sexy wobble for a while, but once it firms up, then it'll have the flow like lava without the burn like lava. They get you in the string pull. So I hear it. Okay, so that was. Let me put you in a pickle.
Yep.
Did we ever hear what your favorite cut of beef was going to be? Did I forget?
Probably tri-tip. Honestly, it varies. I mean, it's hard because I love skirt steak.
I was going to say, how are you going to put the skirt steak in a corner like that? I
love skirt steak. Inside skirt, outside skirt,
outside skirt, full skirt.
Beauty. What about a bavette?
I like bavette too. So I'm on Snake River Farms influencer team. So I've tried all of these different cuts and I love them. But bavette I like because that's kind of I tell people it's the cross between the skirt and the flank. It's thicker like a flank. The grain runs like a skirt. So make sure that you don't, when you're slicing it, you make sure you slice.
I like that analogy. Yeah.
But bavette I think takes so well to any type of marinade. It's got those very, very thick fibers that run deep. So when you marinate it, that really penetrates. And
it just cannonballs on in there.
Yeah. See, flat iron too.
Yeah, flat iron's good. I find that butchers leave that sinew in the middle. I struggle finding a butcher here in North Carolina that regards the beef with enough courtesy to fabricate it in a proper way. We got pork and turkey and chicken out the wazoo. The beef we rely on Kansas, and that was going to be my next put you in a pickle was going to be Wagyu or say CAB or something. But I think, gentlemen, I know the answer.
Yes. Well, and to your point on the flat iron, the other thing is hanger steaks. I love a really good hanger steak.
Animal.
What's that?
You only get one per animal. You know,
Right.
you can't put it on the menu sustainably. You know,
Yeah.
that's the best cut on earth. But you got one per 1,600 pounds.
Yeah.
Hey, right?
And that sits right by the kidneys, right?
It's what holds up the abdomen, so towards the rear, and it holds the whole. There you go, holds the entire thing up. You know, it's beautiful.
It's a hanger.
Right by the skirt.
It's the hanger.
It's a So I have to be honest with you, all you guys chatting about all of these beautiful cuts of beef. You guys never thought about that beautiful pork chop, that beautiful plain pork chop with just a little bit of salt and pepper, cooked to a beautiful 145, 150. That kiss of smoke, right? The rolling fire. Let it rest. Nothing crazy, just a simple pork chop. Man, like that's childhood memories for me. Every time I taste, everyone always has to season it too much. They have to cook it too far. They have to throw it on the fire too long. Like you can't just simply cook a pork chop. It's those ones you weren't really paying attention to that you just flop twice and pull off.
Bing,
and all
bang,
of a sudden you sit down, you put one in, and it's like it's game changing. And you can't argue that. It's the days of the old traditional.
I will argue with anybody that what I think is the most underrated cut of meat, from pork, beef, chicken, any of those, is a pork tenderloin. I think.
What?
Yes. I think it's so overlooked as being just a great cut of meat.
It's overpriced. It's overpriced. I'll take a pork loin over a pork tenderloin any day.
Wow. You can get a whole pork tenderloin for like $5-6.
Yeah, but it's like this big.
Nice.
I get a whole pork loin for $5-6.
Yeah, that's that. I'm not gonna lie to you. The first time I went to Costco and I seen that pork loin, I was like, "So they're killing dinosaurs." First of all, this is insanity. And then why is it only $20? Why is it 5 feet long and only $20? I don't. Crazy.
So I concur. Pork tenderloin is beautiful, but I will hands down. I'm used to serving numbers as well, right? So I need to take my biases out from my background. You know, if I'm doing a quick cure, like a 3-hour cure on a pork loin, I can slice it down the center and have 2 loins, cure it to the point where if you were blindfolded, you would not be able to tell the difference between the tenderloin and the loin, and I'm getting loin prices. I'll say that. I can't figure out this camera. I'll say that. But I'm also using Cheshire Pork. And, you know, this is a Duroc Berkshire crossbreed that 40 years ago, 2 brothers got together and said, F you, American Pork Council, we're not going to turn this into the other white meat. And they chased the breeds that kept the fat, the intermuscular fat and the big fat caps, and didn't die in the wintertime outside. And, you know, they didn't chase the lean. Cheshire Pork out of Seven Springs, North Carolina. Those of you haven't heard of it, and I have zero affiliation except for the fact that I absolutely adore their meat and I love their story. They are the #1 selling pork product on the Tokyo market. So when you think about Wagyu beef and what Tokyo loves about that, you know, it's the same simple fact of, you know, genetically laid down intermuscular marbling over generations and generations. And so this pork loin that I'm talking smack about, you know, is probably more like the pork tenderloin that we're talking about in general. So I need to check myself a little bit. That's all.
I love that you brought up
the pork loin. Like the whole pork loin, like Mel's talking about, you can do so much out of that. You can get your center cut roast. You can take one end and you can make your, you know, double 2-inch thick pork chops that'll be juicy as all hell. And I mean, you literally could spend that $20. And this is to your point about the pork tenderloin being $5-6 and getting one meal out of it. You spend your $20 and you could probably get 8 meals out of it with that whole pork loin.
Yeah, I also like to. You know, if I'm slaughtering a hog, which is not often, and I know there's a couple farms out there that do this. You can leave some of those latter rib bones, the last 2 rib bones on there, and not sacrifice the St. Louis or the baby backs, and still get 2 pork tomahawks out of it. And the pork tomahawk is just amazing. This is one of those cuts that if you're using a big green egg or a Kamado Joe or a Primo, and you're using a cast iron pan, you got to use the backside. Just because pure where the lip is and where you need to sear it, and I love using the bottom side of a cast iron pan, because the cut of beef or pork is so freaking big. You can't have that lip or that angle, and it's just such a beautiful thing, But that's made of the loin. Then you got the T-bones. So why don't we meet in the middle and go with the bone porterhouse and pick up both the tenderloin and loin, and cheers to you.
There we go.
There it is. Now we're talking. But the difficulty of that is cooking them at the right temperature and not overcooking the tenderloin. Right. You've got the loin done. Pork and seafood, but I'm going to say pork is the most overcooked meat in barbecue.
What's your guys' temperature down there?
Bro, trichinosis dies at 132.5. We're still cooking. I think it just changed like 5 years ago from 155 to 145. Thank goodness. But I will pull off at 140 and carry over cook to 143, 145. Depending on
up here, we have honestly like free range, the whole 9 yards. There's so many farms super close to us. They don't say because of Canadian standards and whatever, but like it is quite possible to pull it at 140 and be very, very happy with it, and rightfully so. Like it's
just to bring thing. But let's not forget, there's not been a reported case of trichinosis in farm raised pork since Chaucerian times. I mean, that's a fact. Find it for me. Prove me wrong. Come at me. Whatever people say that want controversy, I don't. But I'm telling you, you can. Gone are the days of when we grew up. The pork chops that we loved, we could love them even more. When our grandparents had to douse them with chunky applesauce just to get us to eat them, and we loved it. At least that was for me. I love a pork chop, and I'll tell you who I fell in love with pork chops is this dude Malcolm Reed. I seen that guy. I've not seen any of his videos. I know his name. He's a huge name in the barbecue industry. I was thinking about doing a pork chop sandwich, and I watched his video, and I'm like, this guy is good. What I mean? And I, coming from a fine dining chef to a guy who's built the freaking empire, I guess. I mean, he just talks about it. He's like, yeah, we're gonna set this up today, and we're gonna bank all our coals over here, so we've got two zone cooking. If it gets too hot, we're gonna move it over. It's very matter of fact, and I like that. Not that I know anything about Malcolm Reed except for the fact that people seem to love his recipes, and his pork chop sandwich looks great, and he's putting pickles on it, and I like that. So I'm shooting one this weekend. I'm going, guys. Be ready for this. Guess where I'm going next week?
Where?
So I'm going 35 miles out on a boat into the graveyard of the Atlantic to a place called the Frying Pan Tower. It's a decommissioned Coast Guard base from the 60s. And it's still out there. And I'm shooting Memorial Day content because I was like, I want an American flag and I want open ocean. And I want a boat. We're gonna stop a couple times and go spear fishing and try to catch some grouper and some hognose snapper and a couple lobster tail. Maybe find a couple of hand-sized megalodon teeth and just go out there and have a blast. And again, shoot 7 recipe videos per day. So that's a lot. That's a big wardrobe. I gotta have a different shirt on for every single video.
People don't even think of that. Like that's the thing. Like once you get into producing content, crazy. I can't wait to see this, man.
That's gonna be fun. But I shot like 6 videos with my boy Chef Tom in Kansas at All Things Barbecue, and I wore the same shirt because we shot them all on the same day. And the comments are the worst. They're like, "This guy have any other clothes?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, bro, that was one day. You know, what do you expect? And I learned my lesson.
That's why this signature shirt, right?
Oh, I need one. I gotta buy one. Yeah.
That's why I do this. Like, everyone's like, how many of those shirts do you have? Maybe I have one. Maybe I have 100. You don't know. But what day did I cook this? You don't know that either. That's it's a magic trick. It's a beautiful thing. Man.
How many hours do you rest a brisket? How many hours do you rest a brisket?
At least 2 or 3.
I'm hearing 7. I'm seeing people do 7. When I go to Texas at Premier Grilling, they do 7 hours.
Well, I have done. That's so you're stuck in an overnight cook. You don't have to eat until 4 or 5.
Yeah.
For sure, you're part. Oh, and I've got the Cambro 400s. I've got a set of them.
They're using the smaller Yetis or the Cambros, and generally it's a Cambro.
Yeah, and
part for I've cooked briskets for my nurses in my clinic, and I got it done. One I did overnight, and it got done a couple hours early, so it sat in the Yeti for 6 hours before I brought it out. I mean, I'll tell you, that one was a little bit more loose. When I went to go and slice it, it didn't hold together as much, so it ended up being chopped brisket sandwiches.
Sure.
Tasted fine. It tasted just as good, but yeah, I usually shoot for that 2-3 hour, maybe 4 hours at most.
4 hour rest makes sense.
That's my tough thing to shake, is every time I cut a brisket, whether it's my first brisket or my 500th brisket, I have to cut it, and for no reason at all, I have to turn some kind of phone or camera or something on and give the jiggle and give the pull apart.
Don't do the squeeze, though. Don't squeeze. People do the squeeze, and I'm like,
I know.
Keep it in there. I know you have to do it. But I better tell people, like, come on, man.
So in the KCBS judging, the first thing they say is nobody jiggles your food. Don't go grabbing the food and jiggling it. Nobody does that. Just pick it up and pull it apart. If that's to your liking, put it in your mouth. If that's to your liking, write it on the paper. Like, that's it. It's very simple, right? You don't play with your food every time you get it. This is all for Instagram.
Oh,
and that's.
Yeah.
So now you know, right? But this is the thing about resting it. You rest it long enough, like she's gonna pull apart just beautifully. And if the flavor's there, and if you get the production, you could win a barbecue contest with that.
You got that good 205. Did you go to 205? What's your pull temperature? Like, pull the brisket. And I know I said I don't give a shit about your brisket, but I kind of want to know.
It depends if it's a AA or a AAA. It depends if it's a prime.
You're probe tender.
I'm probe. Yep. I've had some of them come out at. I've had some that I pulled at 200, 199. I had one that I had to bring all the way to 207 before it was tender enough.
You can't argue a Wagyu brisket. That thing's coming out of there at like 198.
What?
I had one.
I've never cooked a Wagyu brisket. I've only done CA. I've only done CAB. There's so much fat, dude. I can only eat like. I can only eat like steak a month, man. I can't eat a lot of beef.
I cooked a beautiful Wagyu brisket, 196, and the flat was like butter. What? And I'm looking at my probe, and I'm like, what do I do here? And then you got to think it's all fat. You don't want that fat.
Your points, like, yeah.
You punch it and it disintegrates. Don't do that, right? Like,
don't do that.
Let's gently carry it to the cooler now and rest it. Like, it's. Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
I had some Wagyu briskets that I pulled at 198, but I had one that I pulled at 205.
So we're probe tender. We're all in agreement there. All right, next point on put you in a pickle here. For the rest of your, what are you pouring over there? What's your drink of choice tonight? What do you got going on? Bourbon?
You got 3 or 4.
Right now I'm on Cuban rum.
Beauty.
I'm enjoying the Cuban rum. I'm not allowed to drink pop. The wife doesn't let me drink pop. So on Tuesdays, I can have a rum and Coke or two.
Nice.
And that's my pop. So I get quite excited about that.
That's a lot of sugar. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, that's the magic trick. If not, I'm sneaking bourbons every once in a while. But yeah, it's my Tuesday. It's fine.
All right. So, all right, I'm gonna scale it back a little bit and just keep it easy for you guys. If you could, for the rest of your life, you had to nail it down, one or the other. Red wine or beer?
Beer.
What?
Red wine.
Boom.
100% red wine. 100% red wine.
Yeah.
I would pick bourbon over both of them.
I know you would. That's why I didn't say bourbon, because we would all pick bourbon. In fact, I'm still hungover from 3 days ago from bourbon. Like, I'm not. I look. You might even see this on my head right here. I fell on a yacht, like crazy times. What are you supposed to be on that boat?
I love it.
So many craft breweries here in Wisconsin.
Oh, good point. Good point. Okay.
So the craft beers have really grown on me, obviously, as I've been up here, and
Hell, he's saying he's sponsored. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, no beer.
No kidding. No, good on you. Good on you.
If it would have been before my second daughter was born, it would have been red wine, hands down. We were really into red wine after our first child, and then when my wife got pregnant the second time, we were really drinking a lot of red wine. She goes, "Okay, just take a break from red wine while I'm pregnant." I'm like, "Well, okay, I can handle that." I'm like,
"That's a big ass." Yeah.
And then we never got back into it as much. I mean, we still have a bunch of red wine, and we'll have it with a nice meal, but not as much now.
Sure. All right, last one, and this is going to be a doozy. Let me think about it here for a second.
Uh-oh.
Let me look at you guys. Dude, this is going to
wood choice.
That's too easy. There's no difference. Okay, so here it is. Just kidding. So, low and slow or fast and furious? One or the other for the rest of your life?
Hot and fast.
Yeah, low and slow, 100%. Yeah.
No, I looked at your pages and I knew exactly what you guys were going to say. Hands down.
No, me and Chris are polar opposites with almost every. It's
That's
hilarious.
Why I brought it up. That was the number one thing that stuck out in my mind. I was like, these guys really celebrate the whole thing, together.
Yeah.
What is it you love about one versus the other?
I like fire.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I do like about long cooking, sometimes braising and all of that. I mean, I think there is things that you can break down that you can achieve in a hot and fast cook that you can in some low and slows. That being said, I think you can get a good pork butt done in 4 hours. I've done a brisket in 4.5. I've had some shanks that have not turned out because I tried going hot and fast instead of
shanks are tough. That's such well-worked muscle. It's tough.
It is. I mean, so I think there is a downside to some hot and fast, but there's something that I just really like about that live fire cooking when you're going hot, when you get to that sear, and that's something I like. And plus, a lot of times I'm time crunched. I come home from work, it's 5 o'clock, my wife's like, we got to eat by 6. I'm like, all right, we're going to get her done.
Well, you should have started the night before. You'd have been all right.
No, I just hopped my old DeLorean, 18 hours, and I'm ready to go. That's
great, Scott. Yeah. All right, Mel. Sell me on low and slow, bro.
So the event I did last weekend, we cooked briskets, 16-hour briskets, pork butts. They all went just an unbelievable amount of time. Smoked over hickory.
Beautiful.
Just a low, slow 225, chugging along, dip down a little bit, come up a little bit, but for the most part, 225 right through the night, right into the day. To see the friends I had, my brother-in-law, right, my good millwright that helped me build the pit that I was smoking on, and everyone's just sitting around. you know, spitting stories and right around the firebox, and you know, someone would dip down and grab 2 sticks, open it up. Someone else would grab a shovel. You can't recreate that kind of stuff. That whole ambiance of everything that's happening, whether it be the stories or the camaraderie or the smell, the food. Like, you could taste those moments in the food the next day.
Mm-hmm.
It's romantic. I don't care how else you can put
you're
it.
100% a freaking romantic, bro. You both sold me on it, but I might be in love with Mel. I don't know.
I was thinking the same exact thing. I'm like, you know, you romanticize the process of it, which is why you like that whole smoke, because you love that process. Where I romanticize the fire, you know, the flame. I want to develop flavors with the high heat. I want that char. I want the different ways of doing that. You know,
you're a sport cook.
That's the balance of it. Yeah.
You're a freaking race car, bro. You love those big bold caramelizations. You love the flambés.
Right.
You love to get in there, interact with the flame, show people how to turbo start their grill. That prove the fact that you can use charcoal just as easily as you can gas. Like to get to the point where you're using your fuel source as a flavor profile and you're running it hard. You're putting big old sears. But then there's the middle ground, right, gentlemen? And I think we all celebrate that. The reverse sears, which are so good on ceramics for obvious points. It's very hard to lower the temperature on ceramics, but it sure is easy to gun it up. The reverse sear, when I learned about that, you know, I was doing English style strips where I was taking full strip loins and cutting them linear. So I had 3 large strips and cooking them low and slow, then cutting them linear, and then seasoning the new sides, and then putting blister sears on the outsides and cutting them as medallions. And I would do this for caterings, and people would freak out because they had the benefit of low and slow with the type of Maillard reaction that comes with a baked bread. And then they also had the different type of Maillard reaction that came with a blister seared freaking caramelization where the proteins are turning to sugar and it's going. You know, I think there are such benefits and lifestyles to both. That was an impossible question, and you both did so well answer. Pretty job, team. Pretty job.
Fantastic.
And I think that's what brings us all into kind of that Kamado style grill, as opposed to, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, Mel and I talk a lot about, you know, one grill. We don't care what people grill on.
Same here.
For us, we were drawn into Big Green Egg because that's kind of where we started, and you know, we're loyal.
That's where I started. I started a Weber. I moved on to a Big Green Egg, and then my life's journey took me to Kamado Joe. You know what I mean? That's me personally. When somebody asks me a cooking question, it's a standard answer. You know.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. No, and that's how we do everything.
I think finding that balance in between the hot and fast, the low and slow, and the versatility is what kept us at the Kamado style cooking versus, you know, for us going to a pellet or a gas or something like that. I don't have anything against those other grills, but it's just, for me, it's my personal preference,
But you also know it's better.
Well, this is, and I was about to say, Eric, but like, so one of my millwrights, James, he helped me build my offset, this massive trailer offset, which I built for events, of course, in COVID, because why wouldn't you, right? Huge public events. Why not? So I built a trailer, massive trailer. He was smoking on a Green Mountain, and that was his go-to. He absolutely loved it. And hey, like he'd bring stuff at lunch and fantastic, whatever.
Sure.
And I just joking around with him. I'm like, trust me, like charcoal's coming back in a big way. And he's like, there's no way, man. There's technology and blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I know that's fine and all, but I see chefs every day that have sous vide kitchens, entire kitchens built around sous vide that are still, well, we need that prehistoric charcoal in there.
Yes.
To get the flavor.
Even sous vide starts with flavor.
That's literally. And now guess what he's rocking on his deck. And he's like, It's not that bad lighting it. Well, of course it's not that bad. And I'm up and rocking in 10, 15 minutes every time. Same as your gas grill.
The process of lighting the grill is the love of the lifestyle. And I think the three of us being, we've all got offsets. Listen, in the backyard here, I got a big oil freaking tank that my wife won the freaking whole hog thing on. Like, that's my church's freaking thing. But listen, the little things. Look at this. This is so matches. I don't know how to show it. Matches were invented in like 1826. It's got a strike touch. Sorry, guys. Striker on the bottom. This is a Russian silver match case. Like we romanticize, and then we romanticize the flame. Like you freaking strike a match, or you make a fire. People are drawn to it. You don't get that. And I know, KJ's got a pellet grill. It's, whatever. Like, playing with live fire, interacting with the flame. There's an entertainment value to there. There's a scratching of that primal itch. There's a nostalgia. There's a flavor profile that just reaches deep. That I can try to explain, but I lose myself in it. Like, I don't know, man. Like, that's what drew me to cooking on ceramic style grills. And my aha, I would love to hear your aha dish. Mine was spatchcock chicken. When I cooked a spatchcock chicken on that grill, and like pretty much had it shut down because I was worried that like my I didn't know how to adjust the temperature with the draft door and the daisy wheel or whatever you want to call it. And so I shut the whole thing down, and it sat at like, I don't know, 280, maybe 325. And I was like, all right, that chicken's going to be done. And I tried it, and I was like, holy shit. There is a big difference. And I've been a chef in the top restaurants in the world. La Bernardin for Eric Repair, Spice Market, Daniel Blue. Like, I've worked in the top restaurants in the world. When I did a spatchcock chicken on a ceramic grill, I was like, holy bajoli, There is a difference, and I like the offsets. I've cooked my whole entire life growing up on Weber's. Before Kamado Joe was even founded, love Ed Fisher and everything he's done since 1974. I mean, if it weren't for Big Green Egg, Kamado Joe wouldn't even exist. You know what I mean? So like, it's a 3,000-year-old Southeast Asian style of cooking that is just to be celebrated, and communal, and just a beautiful thing, So I'm in, I'm big fan. I'm big.
Yeah, no, we've all bought in. There's no way around it, right? And it's so tough because I'm always explaining to people, and they're always, right away, well, the cost up front and blah blah blah, and I always say myself, invest in things you're passionate about. If you don't care what you're putting on your table, then don't care. That's up to you, right? But me, like, I do care a fair amount about, and if this is something that's tailoring like 3 meals a day, Saturday, Sunday, and then at least 1 meal a day throughout the week, right? I'm caring very much about the vegetables. I'm caring very much about the quality of the meat, where it's coming from. I'm caring about the seasoning and the spices that I'm putting into it. It's all part of the thing. I want to be passionate about the instrument that I use to put all of these things together. And as soon as they kind of put that together, they're like, well, that makes a lot more sense. Like, and then, like you say, the spatchcock chicken is
I just on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's like when you cut into the chicken breast of the spatchcock chicken, and you just see how juicy it is and how
it's crazy, right?
The juices are running off my cutting board. Like, I got yelled at. It's like, why didn't you use your concave cutting board? Because it's going to be juicy.
Oh, you've got a concave cutting board. I'm so jealous. Gentlemen, what was your first cook that you nailed that you were like, this is it for me?
Oh, it was the second cook I did on there. It was wings. The first cook I got for lunch, I just threw a couple of brats on there. And for dinner, we did wings.
No.
And at this point, my wife didn't really understand it or anything. And I cooked wings, and I did them low and slow and crisped them up at the end. I brought them in, and, we're eating them, and she goes, these are the best wings I've ever had.
Boom. Not fried. These are the best wings I ever had.
I don't think we've been back to B-Dub since then.
Oh,
No.
maybe just the drink.
The sauce.
Wait a minute, you say the boss?
The sauce.
Oh, yeah. The boss wings. That's an amazing flavor profile. I stole the recipe. I'll send it to you. Yeah, no. That's Mel. How about you? Wings, freaking fantastic.
Oh, I know Mel's answer.
So this is a two-pronged approach. The dish that sold me on a Kamado style cooker was nachos, but I wasn't the one that cooked them.
Oh.
I was at someone's house and they were doing nachos, like 3 or 4 layer on a pizza pan, a serrated pizza pan with the holes in it.
Yeah.
On top of a pizza stone. Heavy cheddar, jalapeno, onions, beef, chicken, black olives. Like it's almost a pizza, but nachos.
All right.
And they had that kiss of charcoal. I think he cooked them around 500 degrees.
Blast
in the up into the top of the dome.
Yeah.
For those chips to still be crunchy, but covered in like golden cheese that was baked on perfectly. For the vegetables to have a wilt to the outside, but still crunchy on the inside, and it had that kiss of charcoal. I was like, "What instrument did you use to make this wizardry?
Magical device."
Yeah, like this is insane. Like, but we're going on about like the cook.
It had to have been high heat, right? Because the moisture retention in those grills are just so
oh yeah, you need that airflow. You need the airflow just flying. That's my trick to pizza is get it up in the dome and get everything just open, right? Yeah. Get that moisture just flying through there and then do the heat protection underneath. Your pizzas are amazing, right? But
stunning.
My first perfect cook was, I believe it was a 3 or a 4 bone prime rib.
Ooh.
And it was reverse seared and it was a nostalgic cook. My stepdad used to make the best. And then we had a restaurant close to here, the Sawmill, and they used to do theirs over open fire, kind of like a pizza oven. And my first one that I nailed, and my stepdad was like, "This is the best, perfect medium rare." Right? Did the reverse sear. No one's even heard of a reverse sear in my family. No one knows what that is. Right? They're cooking in an oven. And it had that kiss of charcoal, and he was like, "Whatever you did here, everything is just." And that was it for me. Like after that was my very first large, and it was like they just started popping up all over after that. It was
awesome. Yeah.
But nachos was my first bite into the charcoal
that's
level.
A beautiful multi-layer deal right there, and I feel like nachos is an underrated thing. And listen, I've seen the trash can nachos. I hate titles like that. I like the method, but to a lot of people's question, what do I do with leftover pulled pork? What do I do with leftover brisket? Freaking nachos is a home run. You know what I mean? Go to your local tienda and get some queso fresco or shredded cheese, whatever you like, and freaking load up a pile of freaking tortilla chips with those beauties and some fresh cheese. Dude, lights out. And to your point, that natural lump charcoal, that's it, man. That's it. That's a thing of beauty. I don't know, man. These are all great answers.
Eric, what's your go-to way to light your grill? To light your charcoal?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
What's your go-to way to light your charcoal?
Yeah, I see so many people lighting their charcoal at the top of the pile and expecting it to burn down, and it does, right? But my deal is banking. Okay, so put 50% less charcoal than you think you need in your firebox. Bank it to the back or to the side. Generally, I bank it to the back, and create a small charcoal cave, and whatever you want to use to light your grill, whether it's a tumbleweed. Of course, I work for freaking Kamado Joe as their corporate executive chef, so I use the Kamado Joe fire starters. I think they're made of it's like a paraffin charcoal thing. Yeah. Yep. You light one of the corners of whatever it is you're lighting, and you place that into your little charcoal pile on the bottom. Whatever you're doing, make sure you can see some of the holes in the fire grate or the basket that you're using, so that you can make sure you have good airflow. When you dump a ton of charcoal into your firebox, and listen, this is for people that have been cooking for 20 years on these things, 30 years, 40 years on these things. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong. I'm just telling you can light it quicker and get rid of that new charcoal lit taste. Which is a thing. It's not a chemical. Well, it's a chemical thing, but not an added chemical thing, right? It's a chemical equation. If you light the charcoal from the very bottom and let heat do what it wants to do and naturally engulf and raise, you're giving it complete access, then you're going to get a higher temperature quicker on less charcoal and a more positive flavor profile much quicker than any other freaking way you could possibly do it. Don't put the freaking leaf blower in the bottom, all right? We've all done it because we've had to for videos and such, but stay away from that. It's not the best thing for ceramic to raise it up that quick. And get to a good temperature and shut the lid after about 10 minutes, so that the dome can accept a lot of that potential kinetic energy. Because if you're doing, like Mel was talking, when you're doing pizzas and stuff, a lot of the benefit of ceramic cooking is from the top down cooking. So, open up that chimney or that draft door on the top all the way open, so that you got max airflow, but the dome is sucking up a lot of that energy, and you can get radiant heat on whatever it is you're roasting. I love quick cooking and lid up cooking, but if you're doing any kind of lid down cooking, you want to make sure that your dome is hot before you shut the lid, if you're working with any kind of a time frame.
Yep.
Perfect.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so a lot of what you're saying is kind of what I like to do. When I put charcoal in my base, I'm always adding to. Because there's always, like, I cook every single day, so I'm adding new charcoal over top of old charcoal.
Yeah.
What people don't see is that I have like a hunch on one side where it's covered, and where I'm lighting, it's actually quite shallow, and it tends to climb over there. When I go to add new charcoal, I dig it out. So it's kind of,
you're mixing it in. You're mixing the new with the old, and the old cook with the new cook, and bigger chunks with smaller chunks. Yeah.
It just kind of, and when I'm lighting it, it's actually shallow on this side where it's fresh, but it's lit right away. And then it's digging into the older, or the newer stuff, whatever, the thicker stuff. If it has to go, the cook has to go longer, right? But if not, you shut it and it goes out. And that fresh charcoal is still kind of staying on that side. It's
right. And so that's the key. The key is airflow, period. Yep. Right. So, when Mel and I are talking about fresh charcoal, generally it's slightly larger pieces, and larger pieces will give you more airflow between pieces versus smaller pieces, which tend to compact a little bit more. So if you bank all of your last used charcoal, which is one of the benefits of ceramic style grills and using natural lump charcoal, is you can light yesterday's used charcoal that you snuffed out by closing the oxygen to it. Yep. You can rotate that older, more compact stuff in and still keep a higher temperature. And one of these bags of charcoal might cost you $20-$30. and be a little more expensive than some of let's say briquettes, but it's going to last you 40% longer. And I completely made up the number 40%.
Yeah,
95%.
that's okay.
95%
That's okay.
of stats are made up on the.
What up? I feel pretty solid about that. Fact check me. You know what I mean?
Eric, I will tell you what. So on my 2XL, like my Eggzilla, this beautiful machine, my best cook that I did for like charcoal retention, and I kept track of how much I did. I put a whole bag in the 2XL, which it accepts very easily. I cooked a whole hog low and slow in the racing position, right? Open cavity, no water pan, no nothing.
Woo!
I cooked the whole hog, absolute perfection. Pulled it off, snuffed it out. Next day, I open it up. I cooked 2 briskets on it, on that same charcoal.
One bag.
Low and slow, right? And still had charcoal left over. And I was like,
it's incredible.
How do you argue that? Like it actually, and you see it as the bullseye went out, but once you mix it and the ashes fall, there was still half a bag of charcoal after 2 briskets and a whole hog.
I tell people this, and when you're talking about ceramic grilling, part of the secret, not even secret, part of the benefit is the ergonomics of the heat. When you're using something like a thin metal topped and bottomed gas grill, natural lump charcoal grill, whatever, you are shedding energy at a crazy rate. Okay. Yeah. And what shedding energy does is it pushes air, right?
Yeah.
And so as you're moving more air around something, you're drying it out. So one of the benefits of ceramic grilling is that you're able to pinpoint accurate specific internal temperatures with minimizing your airflow around it, unless you want that airflow, and then you're able to get the convection if you want to open it up. But when you're doing your low and slow cooks and you want to pinpoint accurate, get something, that radiant heat from the top and bottom without overshedding and unergonomically, which is not a word, just pushing air around the food, there's no question that you will have pound for pound better food, more moist, better sear coming off a ceramic grill than anything I can put out there. You know what I mean? If we're talking same time, same temperature, same item, good luck. Good luck.
And that's one of the benefits of not just a ceramic grill, but the higher end ceramic grills like KJ, Big Green Egg, Primo, is especially the fireboxes, they're double wall ceramic. So you have the interior ceramics too, and there's going to be a little bit of space between those interior ceramics and the exterior ceramic too. So that's going to allow for that airflow. You're not directly touching the outer wall, so you're not losing more of that, temperature that way too. Where when you look at some of the metal ones, and again, if someone's starting out and they don't want to quite take the leap into the more expensive Kamado Joes or, like Kamado grills, whether it's a egg or a KJ, you could start off with ones like, the Acorn. I know people have the Acorns from Charbroil. That's the metal
sure.
one. And they cook great food. It's the same concept. You're just not going to be quite as efficient. So
right.
It's a good place to start out, but there is varying degrees of efficiency from that.
Well, I'll tell you what, up here, the one ringer that comes in, and Chris, we talked about this several times, minus 30 something Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but we're talking like
it's balls ass cold.
Yeah, nothing. Engines don't start. Right? Engines don't start. Nothing works. Cabbies aren't answering your phone. Right? It is what it is. Canada is in the World Juniors for hockey. This is a huge game.
Oh,
and it's in the middle of the night. Like I think they started playing at 2:00 in the morning or something. Well, here's Mel on his not a Weber kettle. It was even before this. The Cabela's Silver Bullet. It was like a 5-in-1 cooker, and I'm cooking briskets and pulled pork on this tiny
insulation in that brisket in the grill.
Well, that's in this tin cooker in the snow in minus 30. All the boys are in the garage drinking bourbon, watching hockey, and I'm out there, right? Minus 30, trying to just make this thing happen. And the wind is cooling this thing quicker than the fire is heating it.
That's
And
tough.
it just, and now you watch that Kamado grill cooking the exact same thing. The wind is blowing, doesn't matter. The rain is falling, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Inside, it's still inside. And honest to God, Eric, I have to sometimes use my flamethrower to open my big green egg.
Oh, I've seen people having to put fires in their cash drawers in the bottom, and
just to open it, because everything is just frozen. And I have to do that to open it, to start the fire, to cook the brisket.
Otherwise, you're going to ruin your gasket.
Yeah. And people are like, why are you doing this? Why don't you order pizza? And I'm like, I will not.
Oh, get out of here. Yeah. I want you guys, and I'm not going to say too much about it, but I do want you guys to check out the KJ kettle.
Yes.
It's kind of fun. And it's more of a response to a Weber kettle. You know what I mean? It's so fun.
Well, we're not going to thank you for the rotisserie or anything.
No.
We're not going to bring that up at all.
Yeah, very good.
Whatever.
That's pretty fun. The funniest thing I've done on a rotisserie is a whole strip loin. I mean, you do turkeys on it. You do poultry of any type. It's fun. I see people doing ribs on it. Maybe you guys have had success with that. I think it's a stretch. But a whole New York strip loin on there, or ribeye in a prime rib fashion is really interesting. And the scorpion steak is a lot of fun to do on that. Or Thor's hammer. Actually, Thor's hammer would be even better than the scorpion steak on that.
Chris, I'm going to let you at him in a second, but I just have to throw in real quick. Eric, at Christmas, I did a 7 or 9 bone prime rib.
What?
On the rotisserie.
What?
I did it reverse sear. I smoked it first.
9 boner?
7 or 9. I think it might be 7, but yeah, I did the whole.
No, I'm gonna call it a 9. I'm gonna call it a 9.
The whole primal I did over the rotisserie on the fire.
Wow.
It was something else. It was something else. And we we like to call it the meltisserie, is what
Absolutely, it's the meltisserie. When you own something like the 7 or 9 bone going around, and it's just self-basting the whole time. I mean, there's nothing but time to talk about the meltisserie.
It was amazing. It was something else. It was very cool. But Chris, get at him about that scorpion.
Yeah, I have in my freezer, and I haven't cooked it. It's a 5-pound tomahawk steak. So I mean, it is like
5-pound tomahawk steak.
Yeah, it is like this thick. I'm like, that's not a steak. That's a
how many bones? How many bones?
It's 1 bone.
Okay, so you got Thor's hammer.
Okay.
And you can do, if you fabricate it already, you can do a scorpion steak with it. But I would you know what I would do? Argentinian matambre. Say it with me, guys. Matambre. It translates to hunger slayer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So you have this beautiful thick ribeye, which is just lush to begin with. No matter what you're gonna do, you're already winning.
Right.
This freaking camera. Okay. So here I'm so dyslexic, and I'm.
No, you got it. You got it.
I don't. I can't do my arm the way I want. I'm gonna push the camera back. All right. God dang it. So there's a
I love it
coming. Shit. I can't tell you. I can't tell you on the freaking camera. All right, so I can't even find myself on this thing. All right, so there's a bone, and you take the knife and you trace it and butterfly it all the way out to the end, so that you have your bone. Daggone it! I can't do it. I'm so dyslexic. I'm not smart.
So are you?
I saw a smart
butterflying it down the bone this way and opening
you
up the
do it
river?
fine. How come you can do it just fine? Yeah. Here's the.
So you,
I can't get me in the thing in the. Yeah. All right, this is okay. So here's the bone, and you splay it out until I'll come at you. That's how you do it. Until you have this long, thin piece that is an inch thick all the way.
Yeah.
And then you take like long cuts of carrots and bell peppers and stuff and put at the end.
Hard boiled egg.
Hard boiled egg, sauteed spinach, and then you roll it on up to the bone, and then you truss it. And then you do it on the rotisserie, or not, or you can do it just like prime rib. I'm losing the camera.
I love it.
The matambre. So where you could do the scorpion steak, it's fantastic. But the benefit, and listen, the crazy thing is, once we started doing the scorpion steak, I started seeing it pop up in butcher shops around the world, and that warms my heart because I want to add value to any butcher shop or farmer out there. Like, there is far too much ground beef out there. Not that they're grinding a ribeye, but if we can train frickin' cattlemen here in North Carolina that they shouldn't be grinding tri-tips,
Yes.
but rather selling them for $3 more a pound on their side of it, that's saving farms. So and the same thing goes, and I teach classes to teach them about the sirloin flaps and what culottes can be and how you can sell something as a picanha, or like stop freaking grinding these things because you can double what you got coming at you. It don't have to be all sausage and ground beef. And so these butcher shops that are picking up the scorpion steak, when I see Toronto, what's my favorite freaking butcher shop in freaking Toronto? My boy Matty.
Yes, there it is. The Butcher Son of Toronto. There, I just had to.
Butcher's Son, dude.
I was trying not to, but I wanted to, because Matty. Oh, I love
Matty does so much great stuff, and he's got the scorpion steak in his butcher shop. That
yes, he
dude
does.
Takes us out to all the hot places in Toronto to the point where like this conversation needs to end. I can't even talk about it, where he's talking, taking us to dinner is amazing, like everything. Okay, anyway, so check out if you're in Toronto or you're in the Toronto area. Go to the Butcher's Son, and if you need raw meat or you need like sandwiches or meals, period, it is a destination. And I think Mel would agree.
He also has Snake River Farms. He does all kinds of. He's got gold grade Australian Wagyu as well. Sammy, the boy in the back, man, Sammy's doing amazing things back there. Check out the Butcher's Sons in Toronto any chance you get.
How big
our
is
people out there?
What's
that?
Is this just a massive, like this? How big is his
tiny?
meat?
No, man, he's a tiny little closet shop, like a hole in the wall, but he's like right on Yonge Street. So this is those pictures I had where I was sitting on the street at a table with him and his chef.
Oh, yeah.
Like we were on Yonge Street. They shut down a section of Yonge Street for us to sit there and have drinks, and it's amazing, man. A beautiful individual, an absolutely beautiful individual, and he cares. He cares about every cut that leaves his store. That's the magic there, and no joke. Like even when you're partying with him at 4 a.m. the next day, he's still talking about the cuts that he does at his He's a beautiful cat, man. He's a beautiful cat, and yeah.
And if he's
Great.
watching right now, I don't care for him one bit. But his beef's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Whenever I go to Toronto, that's the first place I hit up.
That's where you go. You go. You order your beef from Maddie at the Butcher's Market. You go downstairs into his dungeon. You say hey to his fantastic staff. You look at the beef. Yes. Then you go to Chinatown and buy the rest of your crap, and you do your event. That's my playbook. So anybody watching, Traeger, there you go. You're welcome. You know, Diva Q, I see you there.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say. Now Diva knows where we're going. That's.
Nah, it's good. It's good. You know, and that's part of what I like about it too. We see the boys from Traeger and Weber. You know, I think it's Kevin from Weber and all the Big Green Egg folks and the Kamado Joe folks and all the other folks participating and you know that I tell you Dixon Barbecue's got a cool thing going there and I can't wait to get back to it. Guys, I'm gonna mention this. I'm at 5% on my phone, so I'm getting low and slow on this. So if I happen to cut out, I apologize. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure, brother. For sure. Yeah, man. I hope another smoke show happens sooner rather than later, man. I miss it. I miss it very much.
Listen, we're doing pretty good here in the U.S. on shots. I feel like I'm double shotted up. I'm ready to travel a little bit. Of course, I got the little ones. I'm still trying to figure out what that means for doing live events. I got a lot of folks in Texas and stuff asking me to come down. I'm still doing things regionally. I'm not quite ready to travel big yet, but I know people on our team who, and this isn't the culinary team, but just in the team in general who are traveling a little bit here and there. I think we're just all trying to figure out what it means and trying to be safe and trying to be smart. And, you know, I just can't wait to connect with you guys and be in person. I miss that dearly.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, me
I
too.
can't wait for it to open back up and be able to get back out there and just do events and, you know, just see people. You know, it's not even just about, you know, yes, I like cooking for people to eat my food and, you know, you get that feedback from them. You get to watch people eat your food, which is fun, but just to see like guys like you know, people that we can just talk to in person and, you know, do this and smell the food that other people are cooking and, you know, just get ideas. And I think that's where a lot of growth happens too. So I'm anxious for things to open back up, anxious to try new things, see new things, and just get back to somewhat of what normal is or what the new normal is going to be.
The new normal.
Right.
Yeah. Gentlemen, here's to the new normal.
Yes.
Cheers, brother.
And I can't wait to host you all. I'm at 2% now. I can't wait to host you all here in North Carolina. This has to happen.
Yeah. We're gonna hold you to that, brother.
Well, Mel's gonna show up, so
yeah, Mel's coming either way. So there's
all right.
Right on, brother.
All right.
Have a good night.
You have a good night, brother.
Cheers. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Peace.
I don't know how to hang up, so I'm just going to sit here awkwardly like this.
No problem. Awesome. All right, everybody. You guys have a good night. Thank you very much for following along. This was awesome.
Have a good Tuesday. Be safe. See you next week.
Done deal.